Good morning, Wright State University, and welcome to the Wright Morning Show on WWSU. Start your day the right way with us. We will be covering current events in the news, local, national, and from Wright State. We will provide a daily dose of inspiration and positivity to lighten your day. And we will have a special feature depending on the day of the week. So grab your tea or your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the Wright Morning Show. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of the Wright Morning Show on WWSU 106.9 FM. It is Thursday, October 21st, 2021, and I will be your host today, Triple P. On Discord, I have Laughing Chipmunk joined with us. How are you doing this morning, Laughing Chipmunk?
I'm doing all right. I got a kitty on my lap.
Yeah, you mentioned your little stray kitten was being very affectionate this morning.
Yeah, we're calling her Little Bit because she's such a little bit of a kitty. She probably only weighs maybe like about 4 pounds.
Oh, geez.
About as much as a bag of sugar. I'm thinking she's about maybe like 4 months old or something. She's not very old.
All right. We should be having Harmony joining us a little in a few minutes, but for now we're going to get into your current events for today. Dayton Daily News has an article about a New Jersey man that was charged in a Fairborn woman's attack. He is now in Greene County Jail. Dayton Daily News also has an article about Harshman Road wall near Wright-Patterson is to be reimagined. From Dayton.com, a throwback to the gladiator days, bull riding returns to Dayton this weekend. The extreme sport of bull riding is on its way to Dayton this weekend and will transform the Nutter Center into a wild arena. The professional bull rider ZipRecruiter Rumble takes place on Saturday, October 23rd at Wright State University's Nutter Center, featuring some of the world's best bull riders. The Rumble is a part of the Pendleton Whiskey Velocity Tour and returns to Dayton for the 5th time in 6 years. Using over 750 tons of dirt, the Nutter Center will be transformed into the ultimate man versus beast arena, a throwback to gladiator days, stated a PBR release. Saturday's competition is high stakes for the athletes as the current number 1 rider in the tournament, Michael Lane, was injured last weekend in Wheeling, West Virginia. This weekend is a chance for the rest of the field to gain ground on Lane's lead. So be sure to check that out. If you want to get a ticket to the Bull Riders competition, go to Ticketmaster.com. Let's see here. Also for Dayton Daily News, video shows Clifford Owensby speak with Dayton police officials after the arrest. So you could check that out at Dayton Daily News. Springfield News Sung has an article about bus driver shortage delays school for most of Springfield students. Oof. From Dayton.com, weekend events guide, best and brightest events in the Miami Valley this weekend. So we have the Dream of the Burning Boy at PNC Arts Annex. That will be today at 7 p.m., Thursdays 8 p.m., Fridays 2 and 8 p.m., and Saturday 2 p.m., Sunday. Wait, that's, okay. Let me reread that because they put the time before the day, and that confused me. So, it is October 21st through the 31st. 7 p.m. on Thursdays, 8 p.m. on Fridays, 2 and 8 p.m. on Saturdays, and 2 p.m. on Sundays. At the PNC Arts Annex, 46 West 2nd Street in Dayton. The Nerve, known for producing raw, thought-provoking plays, presents David West Reed's 2011 drama. In the story of sorrow and facing fears, high school teacher Larry Morrow has been falling asleep at his desk and dreaming ever since the sudden death of Dane, his favorite student. As Dane's sister and friends attempt to cope along with the entire school, Larry's dreams intensify and a shocking secret is exposed. The play is notably described as being about finding the strength to move on and the courage to live without regret. Tickets are available at nervetheater.org. There's the self-defense class with Fondana, Saturday, October 23rd from 3 to 4 p.m. at Total Taekwondo and Fitness, 1942 East Droop Road in Kettering. The hosts of the Fondana show, drag queens Tim Farquhar and Joshua Stuckey, will host the self-defense class with trained instructors at Total Taekwondo and Fitness in Kettering. For more information, go to eventbrite.com. There's the Dia de Moratos, Day of the Dead, Parade and Festival, Sunday, October 24th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. in downtown Dayton. Dayton will hold its annual Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead Parade and Festival throughout downtown. The celebration will include many Mexican traditions with some unique Gem City twists. For more information, go to facebook.com/Dia de Muertos Dayton. There's the Doggy Fall Fest, Sunday, October 24th from noon to 4 p.m. at 7125 Executive Boulevard in Dayton. Paw Patrol Dayton will host the Doggy Fall Fest, featuring live demonstrations, a costume contest, live music, dog paintings, raffles, and food and merchandise vendors. For more information, go to pawpatroldayton.ticketleap.com. Pay a visit to a corn maze, pumpkin patch, haunted house, or hayride. This is throughout the Miami Valley. From now through the end of October, celebrate autumn in the Miami Valley by paying a visit to one of the many corn mazes, pumpkin patches, haunted houses, or hayrides. Check out the Haunted House Guide, Pumpkin Patch Guide, Corn Maze Guide, and Hayrides Guide, all on Dayton.com for more information. Continuing our news, for Springfield News Song, Wright Patterson is to remain in public health emergency. Check that out at Springfield News Song. Dayton Daily News has an article, Wright Patterson Dental Clinic is changing sick call hours. Check that out. For Springfield News Song, voter guide, Enon Village Council. So learn about whom will be on the ballot. From WYSO, Yellow Springs School Board challengers debate a school levy. On Tuesday night, the 5 challengers for 3 Yellow Springs School Board seats debated a controversial levy at a candidate forum. The 0.5 income tax and 6.5 mil property tax levy would decide the fate of the very school the candidates were debating in. If it passes, the district will generate about $23 million. They'll then use the funds to move Mills Lawn Elementary School to where the high school currently sits and combine them to make one K-12 building. The district would receive a $9 million reimbursement from the state if they build the K-12 school. The 5 challengers were split into 2 teams, those who support the levy and those against it. Dorothy Bouquet, Luisa Beery Rios, and Pamela Nicodemus are for the levy, saying it's more cost-effective and the green space around the elementary school can be used for the development of affordable housing. Judith Hempfling and Amy Magnus represented the opposition. Hempfling says repairing the current school wouldn't be that hard. You can read more at wyso.org. From WDTN, small business owners call on City of Dayton for equity, transparency, and use of federal funds. Concerns over how the City of Dayton is allocating federal funding was a topic of Wednesday night's City Commission's meeting. Small business owners and community members are calling for more transparency and more time to apply. The City of Dayton will receive $138 million through the American Rescue Plan Act, and the city has opened it up to the community to apply for some funds. Outside City Hall before the meeting, several business owners and community members called for racial equality and equity as the city accepts applications for American Rescue Plan Act funds. We want transparency and we want equity, small business owner and protest organizer Joe Cooley-Love said. They're asking the city to extend the application period beyond October 29th to hold more sessions, to walk people through the process, and create an equity plan to distribute the money. You can read more at WDTN.com. Let's see here. WHIO. Thankfully, I am alive. Distracted driving investigated as a factor in Greene County crash on Wednesday. A Greene County woman said she was texting while driving and caused a crash that blocked a portion of State Route 343 on Wednesday morning. The crash was reported around 7:15 a.m. on State Route 343 near Swimming Pool Road. That's a cool name of a road. In Miami Township, Greene County. 2 vehicles were involved after one went off the side of the road and crashed into a utility pole, causing the pole to hit the second vehicle. Alicia Jarvis of Xenia had told her crew that had told WHIO that she was the at-fault driver and was texting while driving after dropping her kids off at school. I texted my mother while driving. I was doing 65 and a 55, and I had a seizure on the way home. The last thing I remember was looking up, seeing a pole, and then after that, I don't remember anything, Jarvis said. You can read more at WHIO.com. We have Harmony now joining us this morning. How are you doing, Harmony?
Yeah.
It's one of those mornings?
Kind of, sort of, but not really. So, yeah.
All right, now we're going to get into your local weather forecast, the current weather.
It's raining here.
Yeah, so according to tomorrow.io, it is mostly clear, which I call BS on that. It is raining a little bit in the area. I think they're having troubles with their radar or something like that.
Evidently, because it was thunderstorming here just a little bit ago. Now it's just sprinkling.
Yeah, we had a little thunderstorm here in Fairborn as well. The current temperature is 61 degrees. The wind is coming from the southwest at 10 miles per hour, gusting to 23 miles per hour. A little bit of a breeze out there today.
Just a bit.
The humidity is 78%. The dew point is 53 degrees. The visibility is good, and the air quality is moderate. Your 12-hour forecast shows cloudy skies with occasional rain showers up until 2 p.m. It's going to clear up until 6 p.m., and then the clouds and the rain are going to roll back in after 6 p.m. The temperatures are going to remain in the 60s, but peak at 68 at around 2 p.m., and then start cooling off after that because of the rain. Here is your extended weather forecast brought to you by the National Weather Service at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Today, showers are likely, high around 70. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low in the upper 40s. Friday, mostly cloudy and much cooler, high in the upper 50s. Friday night, decreasing clouds, low in the lower 40s. Saturday, mostly sunny, high around 60. Saturday night, partly cloudy in the evening with a slight chance of showers overnight, low in the mid-40s. Sunday, showers are likely, high in the mid-60s. Sunday night, showers continue, low in the lower 50s. Monday, showers continue, high in the mid-60s. And now we're going to go to global and national news. So first off, we're going to check out the New York Times. The federal government is slowly moving toward endorsing mix and match COVID vaccines. Early this summer, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, the director of the CDC, went on a podcast and did something that top public health officials are often uncomfortable doing. She spoke in straightforward, clear language.
Imagine that.
She dropped the bureaucratic reticence that treats scientific questions as either settled or unanswerable. She acknowledged nuance and uncertainty while still offering useful guidance. I want to revisit that interview today because it covered a topic that's back in the news: COVID-19 booster shots. Yesterday, the FDA authorized Americans to receive a booster shot with a different vaccine than the original dose, an approach known as mix and match. And the CDC may confirm that decision this week. If so, federal policy would be more in line with Walensky's comments on that June podcast. So you could check out the New York Times Morning Edition to read about the podcast. Other headlines in the New York Times today: the FDA authorized more people to receive booster shots. Adults who received Johnson & Johnson can now get a booster shot, and older or at-risk Moderna recipients can now get a booster shot. New York City is mandating vaccines for its municipal workers. There is a plan in place to vaccinate young children. You could read about it at the New York Times. All 50 Senate Republicans voted to block Democrats from advancing a scaled-back voting rights bill. To win centrist votes, Democrats are trying to shrink their family policy bill. They have a lot of cutting to do. Democrats have tried to give government the power to negotiate drug policies for 3 decades, and they're facing another failure. In their first debate, New York City mayoral candidates Eric Adams and Curtis Sliwa disagreed on vaccine mandates, Rikers, and more. Women who were once served as judges in Afghanistan are in hiding, fearing retaliation from the men that they sentenced. The gunman in the Parkland school shooting in Florida pleaded guilty to 17 counts of murder. The NFL and players' lawyers moved to scrap the league's use of race-based evaluation for dementia claims in its concussion settlement. MIT prompted a debate over free speech by canceling a guest lecture from a geophysicist who had opposed aspects of affirmative action. Onions may have caused the salmonella outbreak that sickened people in 37 states, so be sure to cook your onions. All right, now we're going to go to Cheddar News and Need to Know.
Salmonella, you mean throw away your onions. You don't want to cook them.
Oh, true. Yeah. I'm thinking of...
it's food poisoning. You don't want to cook them. You want to toss them.
I'm thinking of something else. From the Associated Press, the FDA is recommending booster shots for Johnson & Johnson and Moderna vaccine recipients, also saying that people are free to get boosters that are different from the vaccine they initially received. Assuming the CDC signs off today, all Johnson & Johnson recipients aged 18 and up will be eligible for a booster, so long as their initial shot was 2 months ago. The booster policy for Moderna is the same as Pfizer. Anyone 65 and up with a medical condition, job, or living situation that puts them at high risk of contracting COVID. From Politico, Senator Kirsten Sinema of Arizona is reportedly telling lobbyists that she opposes any increase to the tax rate on wealthy people or corporations, the main way that President Biden's social spending plan would be paid for. Sinema's vote is needed for Democrats to pass the bill in the Senate. The legislation, which started with a price tag of $3.5 trillion, is down to a ballpark of $1.8 trillion as Democrats continue to negotiate its size and scope amongst themselves. Sinema's supposed red line on tax increases comes after Biden told progressives that tuition-free community college, another signature plank, is out of the final bill. Of course, we can't fund education. We can't have smart people in society, right? If people are smart, they're going to rebel against the government. That's how it works. From CBS News. Oh, by the way, the views and opinions of the show do not reflect the views and opinions of WWSU Radio, Wright State University, nor their entities. Yeah. From CBS News, the gunman who carried out the massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School on Valentine's Day 2018 pleaded guilty to all charges related to that rampage, including the murder of 17 people. The shooter apologized to the victims for carrying out the deadliest high school shooting in U.S. history. He faces a possible death sentence. From CNN, Brian Laundrie's family attorney told CNN Chris's Cuomo last night that the probability is strong that human remains found in a Florida nature reserve are those of Laundrie.
Ew.
A notebook and backpack belonging to Laundrie, who is a person of interest in the killing of Gabby Petito, were also discovered nearby. The human remains were found in an area that was underwater until recently and are said to be in bad shape, meaning the identification process could take a while. From MarketWatch, the Dow, S&P, and Bitcoin are all or at near all-time highs. The Dow and S&P are within striking distance of record closes despite the labor and inflationary pressures that have hit the economy. Corporate earnings have been coming in hot. Tesla with the latest to crush its earnings report, helping fuel the rally, and Bitcoin hit a fresh all-time high above $66,000 after the successful launch of the first ETF dedicated to trading Bitcoin futures. From Bloomberg, PayPal is said to be in late-stage talks to acquire Pinterest. The deal, if completed, would value the social platform for pinning photos at about $40 billion. PayPal's new strategy is to become something of a super app for finances and e-commerce, similar to China's WeChat, and a Pinterest acquisition would expose it to new users who use Pinterest as part of their shopping experience. From Platformer, there are some fresh reports coming out about Facebook's possible impending name change. Sources say the social media giant has been in serious discussions about a corporate rebrand for the past 2 months, though Mark Zuckerberg has reportedly still not settled on what the new name should be. The company could announce a new name for its umbrella corporation as soon as next week, possibly to reflect its focus on the metaverse.
Well, I got plenty of ideas on what they should change it to, but they're not.
I don't think they should change. Personally, I don't think they should change it, because changing their name is they're doing it to try and avoid public accountability for what they're doing. Mm-hmm. That's just my thoughts. They should suck it up, stick with their name, and deal with the consequences of their actions.
They're still the same entity after all.
Yeah. From Screen Rant, director Denis Villeneuve's big budget adaptation of Dune is coming to theaters and HBO Max tomorrow, and the buzz is coming in very positive. Dune is sitting at 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, with critics calling it ambitious, visually spectacular, and a feat of visual and aural hypnosis. If you're planning to take in the epic space opera this weekend, the James Bond rule applies. Go to the bathroom first. The final cut is clocking in at 2 hours and 35 minutes.
Wow.
From USA Today, surgeons in New York have successfully transplanted a pig kidney into a human body for the first time. The team was able to attach the pig's kidney to a pair of blood vessels in a cadaver without the organ being rejected. Not only was it not rejected, the kidney did its job of filtering waste and making urine for 2 days, as the doctors observed. The milestone is considered an advancement in the hope of one day being able to use animal organs for human transplants.
Well, I certainly hope that person doesn't have an urge for corn or to roll in mud anytime, so.
Or to pig out on food, as they say. All right, well, that concludes your current events for today. We're going to take a quick break on the Rat Morning Show. When we come back, your daily dose of inspiration. Today, we're going to be talking about why less may be more. So stick around on WWSU 106.9.
You're listening to WWSU 106.9 FM, Fairborn, Dayton, Dayton's right choice.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. WWSU 1069. On the phone at 937-775-5555.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave
Welcome back to the Right Morning Show on WWSU 106.9 FM. It is time for the Daily Dose of Inspiration. Today's topic, the paradox of less is more and how it will improve your life. And this comes from Tiny Buddha's Rita Sheth. But first, a proverb. Don't use a lot where a little will do. One of the most common paradoxical statements we hear is less is more. I, like many others, understand what that means in the context of personal style, where it is commonly used. I can appreciate, for example, that when we overdress, we are often taken away from the beauty of the outfit or the look and detracting attention from each valuable detail of accessory. But recently, I discovered that the paradox of less is more has many other applications. When I started questioning whether I could apply this simple philosophy to my life, more generally, to be more effective, to be more at peace, to have higher levels of self-esteem, I found it became the single most effective guiding principle of my life. The first time I noticed the amazing power of less is more was when I accepted that I could not physically do the brutal corporate hours that I used to work, and neither could I compete with the hyper-alpha entrepreneurs and business owners that worked 14 hours per day. I tried to do the 5 a.m. starts that seemed to be the trend in the world of business, but found this is not how my body works. Every time I tried to push myself beyond my natural rhythm, I was so tired during the day I could achieve nothing of value. This is when I made a new rule that I would do just one thing every day, and as long as I achieved that one thing, my most important value-added thing, I would appreciate myself as having achieved something significant. I appreciate that this is not always possible when you are not in charge of your own workload, but the essence of this lesson is to concentrate your focus on what is essential and of highest priority and value, rather than becoming overwhelmed with trying to do every task. I found that when you apply less is more to your work and daily to-do lists, you become the epitome of productivity and focus. And although there is a certain tribe of people that glamorize the hustle culture and the grind ethic, we also acknowledge that our mental health and self-care are just as important. Thankfully, we have started to realize that burnout is counterproductive to success in the long term. So, question for you, Harmony and Laughing Chipmunk. Have you ever experienced burnout, and what did you do to get out of burnout?
Well, yeah, I suffer from burnout, but I have learned a while back that if I don't keep myself together, then I'm just like a nightmare. So, and especially with the job that I have, dealing with as many people as I deal with and the different personalities and energies. So I used to think that, you need to work anywhere from 8 to 10 to 11 hours a day, every day. And it was really getting at me. So
yeah,
I figured out, I need to take some time. And when I took the time, it showed me that working less actually made me more money than working more, because I was just spinning my wheels. I feel like the less effort I put into things, the better off I am, because that's when I can really get the gold out of a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And now I take most of my morning and afternoon. I don't go to work until it's maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and work till maybe 10, 10:30, 11 or 12, just maybe rare. It's rare. But for the most part, and I do take a generous break in between those times as well. And I find that I do a lot better, mentally, emotionally. I have my whole day for meditation, doing other stuff that I need to do, and just being, existing. And I feel like that's the more important thing in life right now, because I'm working on me, and it's always good to work on yourself, because at any stage of the game, you always need to keep yourself in balance.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is going to do it for you. But yeah, that's where my less is definitely more, and I feel more fulfilled, and I find that things go a lot smoother.
What about you, Laffy Chipmunk?
Oh, you know me, I'm burnout all the time.
Oof.
Well, it seems like all the time, with my health issues and being tired all the time and, not really accomplishing much. And yeah, I guess you could say I'm burnt out like maybe 95% of the time.
I mean, you got your cats and everything like that, and you're always taking care of them. So there's a plus.
Well, cats, they don't really require all that much care.
Yeah, they fend for themselves for the most part.
All you got to do is, make sure they have food and water and toys to play with, and take time out of your day to play with them and clean out the litter box. And that's
See, that's a good mental health practice there.
Cleaning out your litter box?
Just your animals in general. I mean, any animal you have, is good for the mental state of mind.
Sure,
I feel like the only reason why you're burnt out so much is because of your mental state of mind and the thoughts that go through it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is way too many thoughts.
Yeah, you need to work on yourself and do more meditation and, develop some spiritual practices and, yeah.
Shameless plug. Harmonic Connections on Sundays, 2 to 3 p.m. and Meditation 10:10 Sundays, 4 to 5 p.m. if you want to learn effective strategies for meditation.
There we go.
All right, continuing on the article. I found that by trying to do less, I actually achieve more in all the important ways, just like what Harmony has been talking about. I was more creative, more productive, and able to sustain my energy throughout the week instead of constantly going through peaks and crashes. I've now made this my routine and my ultimate measure of productivity. By focusing on the most important task instead of aiming to complete all of them, we can all achieve more by seemingly doing less. This is one way powerful that's a confusing sentence. This is one powerful way we can utilize this paradox to streamline our everyday life. I think they meant to put powerful before the word way. After my success with applying this approach to my working life, I then started to consider whether less is more might help me in other parts of my life. One arena in which I have reflected on less is more is when I have found myself critiquing my natural tendency to not want to speak about my accomplishments in a boastful way or try to push myself to the front to be seen. Often I have wondered whether my natural modesty was holding me back. Should I be pushier? Is it a failing within myself to not be more self-promoting? But then I reflected on less is more and realized that one of the ways we could be guided by this philosophy is in how we present ourselves to the world. We do not need to necessarily boast about our accomplishments or clamor desperately for attention. Sometimes we get greater appreciation and respect by allowing people to learn for themselves our true value. In allowing people to discover us, we are attracting only those who appreciate us without having to work so hard at being liked or selling to them in the manner of a pushy salesperson. And there is so much flow and peace in approaching life like this. Think of the greats in history who changed the world and never talked about themselves, instead choosing to keep the focus on their mission and the people they served. Therein lay their greatness. The concept of servant leadership, another seemingly paradox, speaks to the way great leaders are ones that serve, and this necessitates keeping your ego aside. This is my go-to now when I feel like I should be more of a pushy salesperson or chase after people that have no interest in reciprocating my efforts. Less is more. Less is more has also changed the way I communicate. I, like many other people in our modern society, have a condition that we should communicate, communicate, communicate. That we should talk about everything all the time and express everything we feel and think. But I found when reflecting on less is more that in relationships we sometimes over communicate.
Very true. I hate to say, but yeah, that's extremely true.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just can't shut certain people the hell up, and they need to just be quiet.
Right?
So I can relate to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I have the opposite problem. I don't really talk all that much, I don't think. But I do know people who just talk and talk and talk and talk.
Yeah,
And then
it's just puffs of smoke. I feel like you got to take the action. You can't just talk about it. You got to take the action.
another thing about over communicating, this isn't in the article, but another thing about over communicating is that you're basically, it's like spoiling a story to somebody. You're spoiling yourself to people and telling everything about you in such a quick manner that then there's nothing more left for them to discover about you after you're done talking.
Not only that, it's another situation too. I can also cite for relationships. You know, I mean, communication is good, but if one person's doing the majority of it, then it's not so good.
It's not reciprocal, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different factors that can be thrown in there.
Continuing, we can all do with holding our tongue and learning when not to speak, what not to say, and when to listen. This self-control and self-restraint can often pave the way for a better quality of communication and more peace and harmony in a culture where we overemphasize the power of words spoken, words that are often unnecessary and destructive, words that cannot be taken back. By saying less, these days I find that my relationships are more harmonious. A greater peace and ease have found their way into my interactions. It also reminded me that there are many ways we say so much when we say nothing. When we let ourselves just hold space and just be or spend time listening, we are communicating in powerful ways. In my family and in the way I love and care for them, less is more has helped me realize that sometimes the best way to love and care is by taking a step back and doing nothing rather than helping out every single time. It allowed me to recognize where I was not being caring, but in fact was being overbearing and enabling. And as many of us have discovered, the tendency to overextend yourself does no one any good, not the person you are trying to help and not yourself. One of the ways I used to step from caring into being overbearing was by offering helpful but unsolicited advice to my loved ones. Now I have realized that when it comes to offering advice, less is definitely more. I discovered that less is more is about creating space. In your relationships, this is where you are not always reaching out to connect and create intimacy, and you are allowing air to circulate and bring new life and perspectives into your interactions. Can we relate to this?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think so too. Some of us could get, especially a few people I know, we could get so caught up in, friendships and relationships that we do not allow air to come between us and allow us to spend times with ourselves and take care of ourselves. And Harmony, I think you know one person in particular that we talked about on Sunday.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe, possibly.
Yeah. All right, so continuing on. This also applies to physical space. By decluttering and letting go of things I no longer use or need, I now have less but better quality items, which I really treasure. I'm able to value them because I can actually see them, and this results in a feeling of luxury and abundance from the sensual act of taking time to fully enjoy them, rather than being on the next purchase after the initial thrill wears off. And when we apply this philosophy to our schedule by creating fewer obligations that drain us, we allow space and time to spend on what is truly important, while also creating space for new activities that are more aligned to us to come into our lives and take their place. Less is more seems contradictory and confusing, but the reality is that beauty lies in simplicity, truth lies in simplicity, and greatness lies in stripping yourself and your life down to what is truly important. Here are a few questions you might ask yourself to start the process of applying this motto to your life. In what ways can you do, be, and have less and magnify your overall happiness, peace, and success? So, Harmony, Laughing Chipmunk, how would you answer that?
Say that again.
In what ways can you do, be, and have less and magnify your overall happiness, peace, and success?
What ways can I have less? Pretty much like I said, just keep it down to the bare minimum. Just kind of focus on yourself. I I find the philosophy of I don't give too much of a crap about anything. And usually it works out a lot better, because if I'm paying too much attention to situations, then it has a tendency to kind of shoot down the drain a little bit quicker. Mm-hmm. Or I'm just so fixated on it, I can't see the trees beyond the forest or the forest beyond the trees. Yeah. But for the most part, I just keep it simple. I always keep every day simple, because even if I do maybe 5 things in a day, believe it or not, for me that's too much. I gotta slow my mind down to maybe 2 or 3 and space them apart. But no, that's pretty much where I'm at. Just focus on yourself and the rest will flow to you, but just keep the action. Take your actions. You got to move and groove, not just sit there on it, but you have to take action.
Yeah. Laughing Chipmunk, what about you? In what ways can you do less, be less, and have less, and magnify your overall happiness, peace, and success?
Well, I could have a lot less of mental clutter. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's true. I could help all of us.
And like Harmony, I'm trying to, get myself to the point where I don't really, give a hoot about a lot of things. I'll give a hoot about, things that are really important to me and people that are really important to me and things that really matter. But, the rest of it is like, I can't, it just gets too overwhelming, if I'm like, what I'm trying to say. I just get overwhelmed, with all the stuff, going on in the world and what people are doing and people are saying and, all that.
Because you gotta cut that out. It's your outside circumstances that you gotta chop off, because that doesn't have anything to do with you, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. And, I can't have that going on all the time. And
that's why Harmony doesn't watch the news.
I don't
either. The only news I ever hear about is
here with Triple T. You're on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to avoid it, when I go online and everything. I try not to read it. But I do want to stay up to date on my local news here in Parkersburg, as far as like, crime and stuff, because neighborhood watch captain, you got to watch out for your turf, and your neighbor. So, but yeah, moving on.
Yeah. So other questions to ask yourself. Can you find ways to reprioritize and focus on what's truly important? What do you... Yeah. Sorry, for time's sake, I'm speeding along here because we still got Thoughtful Thursday to cover today. What do you do with relative ease and effortlessness that is adding value to your life? In what ways and in which areas are you trying too hard? We can all reflect and apply the teachings of this paradox in any and every part of our life to live a life of greater meaning, focus, simplicity, and peace. I encourage you to deeply reflect on how less might actually be more in your life and take small daily actions to align that to reality. Take small daily actions to remove things, to do less, be less, try less, and thereby create more flow and ease and less stress. Take small steps to create pockets of nothingness and space in order to expand into more of what is truly important, and most importantly, to expand into a greater version of yourself. It's written by Rita Sheth. We're going to take a very super quick break, but when we come back, we're going to get into Thoughtful Thursday. And today's topic for Thoughtful Thursday, Uranus scientists and what they think about your dirty jokes. So this ought to be interesting. You're listening.
Clean up after Uranus.
Yep. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes on the Right Morning Show. Stick around.
And now,
And we're back to the Right Morning Show on WWSU 106.9 FM. Welcome back, and it is time for Thoughtful Thursday. Today's topic from Futurism.com. Here's what Uranus scientists think about your disgusting jokes.
Mm-hmm.
If the public thinks it's a joke, the next thought in the thread is, do they think it's a waste of money? Uranus is a fascinating place. Planetary scientists are captivated by the ice giant's unusual methane-rich atmosphere, sporadic weather, and magnetic field that interacts with the sun, all the way from its distant orbit. And unfortunately, it also has the name that lends itself really well to dirty jokes. It could be pronounced either Uranus or Uranus, both of which open up endless possibilities for potty humor. NASA data shows something leaking out of Uranus, read one Futurism headline that resonated with readers last year. Scientists have also miscellaneously found that Uranus expels gas, harvests mysterious fluids, and forms puzzling mush balls.
Nice.
In some cases, it feels impossible to avoid sounding risque even if you try. The phenomenon might be sophomoric, but it raises an intriguing question. What do the scientists who've dedicated academic careers to studying Uranus make of all this crude humor? I think at first I found it quite frustrating, Lancaster University researcher Chris Arridge told Futurism. There was a little bit of what we're doing serious stuff here, and we're trying to push for a mission to really scientifically interesting place, and in some cases, the butt jokes, do they devalue that in some sense? Does it make it less likely that you end up with a new space mission to study somewhere that many of us who study planets think is a really important piece of the puzzle to understanding our solar system? Arridge said that he's gradually softened up to the jokes, but he also raised an alarming possibility that lowbrow humor about the planet could undermine public funding for genuine research into it.
Do you mean low trow humor?
Yeah. Ultimately, the public pays for the vast majority of this work, Arich says. The public is invested and the public is a major stakeholder. So it's a little bit symbiotic. If your stakeholder thinks it's a big joke, I think it could be a concern for some people. I don't know. If you ask me, I would gladly fund something that makes some good jokes.
True. I feel like we'd be funding things of more consequence of importance. I mean, yes, the solar system is important to a degree, sure, if we need to know something's coming at us from out of nowhere. Other than that, the formations and this and that's fine, but I feel like we could do better spending more money in areas of finding cures and cleaning this place up than taking it to outer limits, so to speak. So, yeah.
Arich clarified that he doesn't personally feel this way, that it's a big joke, but he understood the concerns and wanted to articulate them all the same. If the public thinks it's a joke, he added, the next thought in the thread is, do they think it's a waste of money?
Yep. Sometimes. My opinion.
Another concerned astronomer is Haiti Hamill, a prominent Space Science Institute and Planetary Society astronomer and top expert on Neptune and Uranus, who helped craft NASA's 2010 Decadal Survey, in which she issued a full-throated recommendation for NASA to visit Uranus. Full-throated. I truly do worry that it will make it difficult to actually get a mission to study this planet, because I think that NASA would be sensitive to these headlines, Hamill told Futurism, and sensitive to all the ridicule that they would get if they wanted to get a mission to this planet. We do want to send atmospheric probes, and we call them probes. Probing Uranus.
Probing Uranus.
Yep. And it's impossible to separate that from the whole aliens probing humans thing.
And your wallet. That's besides the point.
The really serious thing is that I do think it could hamper our ability to get a mission to this planet, she added. I don't think it's insurmountable, but it's something that we worry about. Maybe we'll just go to Neptune so we don't have to worry about the whole thing. Still, Hamill continues to stand behind the scientific arguments for a mission to Uranus. She conceded that there hasn't been a tangible indication that Uranus jokes pose a threat to such a mission, but she believes there's a reason for concern. As of this article's publication, multiple NASA spokespeople haven't responded to Futurism's specific questions about whether there's any validity to these concerns, but most of the astronomers Futurism spoke to think these concerns are just overly cautious researchers blowing innocuous jokes out of proportion and out of orbit, if you ask me.
And out of the Uranuses, but yeah.
There are a couple of people whose opinions I respect and whose knowledge of how things really work in Washington, D.C. is much greater than mine. NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory planetary scientist Mark Hofstadter told Futurism, who published a 2019 paper arguing for a mission to Uranus. They will say that when you go to Congress to try and argue for funding, you will take a hit because of the word Uranus. And for that reason, if you want to study an ice giant, it's better to go to Neptune. That argument I dislike, Hofstadter continued. I will accept any scientific argument that says, oh, if you want to study an ice giant, Neptune is more important because of ... And the answer is usually, it's moon Triton. That's an argument that I can accept and respect, but to say that I'm going to choose a mission to Neptune over a mission to Uranus just because of the name, I don't think that's a good reason. But for the most part, Hofstadter said it is all in good fun. His wife, he said once, bought him a t-shirt emblazoned with the claim that 63 Earths can fit inside Uranus. 64 if you relax.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez.
Gang bang. Yeah. What are we looking for? What are we looking for in Uranus anyway?
The correct number, Hofstadter explained, is actually 63 and a half.
Oh, God.
There's a joking t-shirt that conveyed a fact about the planet, so that's okay by me, he said. It's the name as the sort of tongue-in-cheek title you used. It's a way to get people to relax and learn something about science. Many other Uranus scientists also enthusiastically supported nasty jokes about their favorite gas giant. From a scientific communication point of view, several said a sense of humor can be a winning strategy. I guess coming from the general public, I kind of love it, University of California astronomy PhD candidate Ned Moulter told Futurism. I think it's good to get engagement in my work in any way. That's sort of the way that I see it. Obviously, do the jokes get really tired and repetitive? Absolutely. But the thing is, the fraction of the time that I talk to the public about my work is small enough where it doesn't affect me that much. I wouldn't say I get frustrated at all. It starts a conversation. And when journalists have fun with the topic, that's also fine by Moulter. If that's the clickbait that people want, they learn something, Moulter said. 90% of people might be, ha, that's hilarious, and 10% will go, oh, that's really interesting. I think it can only help, really. And to be fair, Futurism did clickbait me today into using this article on the show. So using Uranus jokes does work, and I am proof of that. You should use whatever headline you want that gets people to read the article, as long as it isn't crap or a lie, he said. Honestly, making a butt joke is the most innocent way to do that. I can't think of a way that making a butt joke is going to misrepresent the work that I did. It's also just good to have a sense of humor about your work, scientists said. To me, astrophysics seems like everyone's having fun, University of Zurich PhD candidate Denise Sawyer told Futurism. We make these jokes all the time, and it's not just Uranus. There are a bunch of objects in the universe. There's also yo mama jokes about black holes and stuff. Wow. Sawyer wondered aloud whether there was a generational split that might explain why some astronomers get bothered by jokes, adding that he and his peers are from the internet generation and laugh at anything. One thing that all 7 experts we talked to, all of whom have published research on Uranus, agree to is that both ice giant planets, Uranus, I think they put planets twice on that article, Uranus and Neptune are immensely important from a scientific standpoint, yet consistently get overlooked. Only one spacecraft, Voyager 2, has ever flown past Uranus and Neptune, and it was nearly 40 years ago.
Voyager 2.
No, Voyager 2.
Voyeur.
So there's a voyeur on Uranus.
Yes.
Neptune and Uranus are ridiculously underexplored compared to what we call the gas giants Jupiter and Saturn, Sawyer said. Even the scientists who were more critical of Uranus jokes said they saw the value in humorous scientific communications, arguing that they could help breathe life into a field otherwise dominated by extremely dense and technical papers and research. It would be quite a boring world if it was all fairly dull and bland and factual, RH said. I do see these articles about Uranus and leaking fluids, and it gives me a chuckle from time to time. And on that note, that concludes today's episode of the Wright Morning Show. We're here every day from Tuesday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WWSU Radio. Coming up next is Democracy Now!, so get your latest news headlines from Democracy Now! 3 to 4 p.m., we have Sage with Vibe Check coming on the air to play a variety of music. 4 to 5 p.m. is the Raider Sports Podcast between WWSU and the Guardian Media Group. And finally, from 6 to 7 p.m. today, we have M. Wink's Rainbow Remedy, where she features LGBTQ music artists. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Life of Chimmuck and Harmony, for being on today.
Thank you.
And
thank you, too.
You all have a good day, and we will see you later. Take care.
Hi, this is Mary Alice with the High Divers.